I'm your host, Anthony Mitchell, and thank you for watching or listening to another episode of The Median Society. Tonight, we're going to have a good time with a great musician and friend, and I'm looking forward to just really getting to talk to her and seeing where she's at. Today, we truly have a special guest gracing our virtual studio. She's not just a musician, she's a force of positivity, faith, and inspiration. Joining us today is the remarkable Chrishana. From her early days finding discipline through church teachings and life experiences to connecting with industry through Savannah Street Music, Chrishana's journey is one of resilience and determination. But her story isn't just about her, it's about the lives she touches through her art, inspired by her mother, Minister Brenda Williams. Chrishana's musical prowess is a testament to the power and influence and the passion. With every note she sings and every beat she dances to, she spreads a message of hope and healing. So grab your headphones and get ready to be inspired as we delve into the world of Chrishana. This is not just a podcast episode, it's a journey of faith, music, and the boundless power of the human spirit. Let's welcome Chrishana to the Median Society. How are you today?
I am wonderful. So wonderful. So glad to be here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I know it's been a minute. We've been wanting to have you on, and finally, we're here. We're in a good place, and we're looking forward to a fun conversation with you. Let's catch up with you. Reflecting on the past year, what have you been doing? Where have you been going?
You know what? This past year has been quite incredible for me. I have been traveling. I had 2 sold-out shows in Paris. I did some shows in London as well. A lot of just meet and greets, radio interviews. I've done a lot of recording. I released a new single, and I have another project coming out. So many things have been happening. I've been performing left and right, and I'm just grateful for the opportunities.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The one cool thing I saw when I was following you last year, I think you went to Beyonce's concert or something, and you and you were having a great time. It's always good to see musicians enjoying other musicians,
And especially when they shout you out, because she shouted me out too. So I was like,
and that's what's up.
It's amazing because I was like, It's wonderful when you get recognition from an artist on, the level that she is. So
absolutely.
I was honored.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, but I've been seeing you. You've been doing your thing up and down the stage and just different things. And I had to throw a joke to you. Was a couple weeks ago when I said, wow, my friend really figured out the words to work.
Yeah.
And I'm a Caribbean dude. And I was like, I didn't even know what Brianna was saying in this the whole time. And you figured it out.
I did. I definitely did.
How long did it take you to figure that out?
I listened to that for about a week on repeat to learn the lyrics and try to get the twang down that she had, and then I finally got it. I kept pushing myself. I'm like, you're going to do this. You can get it. And I finally got it.
And yeah, you definitely had it. It was really cool. I liked it. It was good. Good performance too, by the way.
Thank you.
The other thing I saw.
A lot of fun.
Well, guess what? So the other thing I saw, I didn't realize that you were a choreographer too.
Yes.
So I was like, I learned that after I met you. I was like, she choreographs too. How'd you get into that?
The funny thing is, I actually danced. Everybody knew me for dancing first before they actually knew me for singing, which is the funny thing. And then when I decided that I wanted to sing, I'm like, I have these wonderful gifts that God gave me. I'm going to put them all together. Mm-hmm. So I was actually doing that first before starting to sing.
Oh, wow. Oh, so it just came natural. I mean, you have the talent. It's obvious. Let's talk a little bit about your evolution. Over the last year that I've known you, I've heard your music evolve. Like you have a new single now, but what would you say has been the biggest evolution of your music from you starting several years back to now?
The biggest evolution for me, I'd have to say, is just really knowing who I am and being okay with that and not focusing on what other people have to say. When I came out with my first record, which was Full Disclosure, I was very I was very reserved. And I was reserved because obviously, I come from the church background. I was really heavily influenced and concerned by what I thought the church community would say about me and how they would see me with my presentation and my music. And I feel like, although I feel Full Disclosure was a great opening record for me to introduce myself to the world, but I was reserved in it because I felt like maybe I wouldn't be accepted as much, and that was kind of like a crippling thing for me. But after just evolving and really having a conversation with my music representative and manager, Ben Obi of Savannah Street Music, I remember, when we were working on the next project, he said, "Hey, what do you want to say? Who are you trying to reach? What's your message? And what do you want to do?" And I was like, "Well, I really wish I could do music like this or like that. I want to say this and I want to say that." And he was like, "Well, why can't you?" And I had to really think, why can't I say that? And there was nothing that was actually holding me back except for myself and the concerns of other people that had no bearing on my prosperity at all. So once I let that shackle go, or those shackles go, I just let loose. And that's when Second Offering was created. And I really said everything that I wanted to say in that album. And as a result, I had a #1 on that album over in Europe, and several songs on that album charted. And then after that, I started writing even more, came out with my Lyrics for Your Soul album. And I just got even deeper in that album. And my latest single, to which you spoke about earlier, which is titled I Told You, I got even deeper on that. And that went #1 as well over, over in Europe. So it's just like I feel like my evolution is me just really recognizing who I am and not being afraid to say what I have inside of me and what I feel God has given me to say to his people in the unique way that I'm giving it.
No, what's really cool. I'm glad you touched on that because one of the things I want the audience to understand is that your music is pure, it's real, it's soul, it's definitely soulful, but you also have just a really deep spirituality. Obviously, you come from a ministerial family, but you just have a really keen sense of spirituality in all of your music. And I think that that's amazing because in today's time where everybody's trying to be a little bit more raunchy and everything, that's what I think helps you stand out as an artist. Is your heart that you put into your music and the spiritual side and you're not scared to let that side come out in anything that you sing. And that's what I dig a lot about you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's talk about the heart of your music. What's your inspiration, and especially in the last 2 albums and records, just songs that you're putting out? What has been your inspiration? What is your process when you go back in the studio?
My inspiration and my process. So I'll touch on the inspiration. My inspiration truly is just life situations, things that I've gone through, and just really, looking in the mind of a Christian woman and in my head going through the experiences that I've had and writing about them. Those are the things that inspire me, or just having conversations with individuals, listen to people's triumphs, listening to people's issues, all of those things inspire me to write. And then on the other side of that, I may just happen to hear a really dope track, or somebody might say a tight bar, and I'm just like, "Ooh, that moved me," and I'll go, write about that. So that brings me to the writing process. Usually, when I feel something like heavy, within me, and it doesn't have to be something bad heavy, but just like, I want to get this message across to people. I want to say this in a way that appeals to the masses, not just people in the church. So in my latest single that went #1, I Told You, is basically talk. And people, they might think it's about a relationship, like they did my single "I'm Done" that was number one. But I told you, I'm basically talking about the rapture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about, just the choices that God gives us, and how he allows us to live the life that we want to live. But at the same time, he gives us these four options. He gives us these choices. He shows us these different paths that we could take. And he gives you a guideline of like, what could happen if you do this? This is what happens if you do that, right? And so it's like, either you're going to come on my team now, or you're going to come later.
True.
But eventually, you're going to come. But the issue with that is you may run out of time, and it might be too late.
Well, so you heard it.
That's how I go about my writing process. I figure out what I want to say and who am I talking to. So a lot of times I'm talking in a general sense because my goal is to impact, live, and everybody positively. But I also want to talk about the realities of things that aren't so good that can actually happen. You know what I'm saying? If it's talking about, life after here, or if it's just talking about relationship, good relationship, bad relationship. I just want to talk about stuff that's real.
Gotcha. Yep. So what's the essence? What would you say the essence of your musical sound? Then I want to ask you about your band too. But what's the essence of your musical sound? What would you say it is?
The essence of my musical sound, I would say it's smooth up jumps the boogie.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm real smooth with it. Obviously, it's R&B soul.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm a B girl. I like that hip hop. I like to, spit a little bit. So I would just call it smooth up jumps the boogie because I can go there.
I like it.
That's the essence.
That's dope. Your band. Because I feel like you go through so many different styles with your soul and R&B. So what are you doing to select this? Is this something that Ben Obi's doing, or you're just very instrumental in selecting them as well?
You know what? I wish I could take the credit, but Ben actually handles that portion.
Okay.
Ben Obi handles the band. Obviously, I'm familiar with a lot of the pickings of individuals, and we have a discussion. But there's so many talented musicians here and everywhere at that that you can choose from. And so the process of picking isn't very hard, because one thing about really good musicians, whether you're a vocal musician or you're an instrumentational musician, is everybody knows who everybody is. Your A musicians, your B musicians, your C musicians, your D musicians. We all know who each other are. And so Ben Obi really, he's very connected with all of these musicians in that way. And so the process of picking is very easy.
He's a bad boy. Ben is a bad boy, man. I'm gonna tell you, because I keep listening to your music, and I was like, this is a bad boy, man. He picking some good songs for her.
Yeah. And the funny thing about that is, Ben Obi and I, we creatively come together on a lot of different things. Now, we don't always agree, because he may not always catch the vision like me, and I may not always catch the vision of what he's saying. So, like, for instance, a really good example, this single, I Told You, he didn't catch the vision at first. You know what I'm saying? We was talking, I'm like, I hear this, I hear that, and we just come together and we do our thing. And he says, well, I think this, I think that. He was like, but I don't feel strongly about it, so let's just go ahead and do it. But I was like, that's cool. You're going to catch the vision.
This is true.
He caught it after. That's the thing as far as being an artist. You have to be firm and strong. Because, like, when I hear something, I'm like, nah, that is a certified hit, even if it's not my song.
Yep.
It's like, I feel like God has given me this unique gift to know, like, yo, that is dope.
Yeah.
Or that one's, it's like, this is cool. You know what I'm saying? But that one right there, yeah. So.
Yeah. You could tell your fillers, and you can tell, you know what? Yeah. That has that extra zing to it. Yeah.
Yes, and for me, I want people to be able to put on any record of mine and just be able to listen to it all the way through.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I want them to really enjoy every song. You know what I'm saying? So that's always my goal. If I can sit and I can listen to it, you know what I mean? I'm like, all right, cool. Let me not be biased. Let me let some other people listen to it too and see what they feel.
Yep.
But ultimately, as long as I feel confident in it, then I'm there.
Gotcha.
I can't really be swayed.
It's interesting because, like, I know, like, even if I'm songwriting, I always go to the perspective of, can I perform this song on stage? Like, is it something that, and I visualize, how would I be performing that song on stage? And do you ever do anything like that when you're writing a song?
All the time.
Gotcha.
All the time with every performance. So I don't actually do that in the recording process. I only do it when it's time for me to prepare for a show.
I gotcha.
Figure out what type of show I'm doing, who are the kind of people that I can think of, and what kind of show I want to put together. And so there's different things, like it's all about who I would need to bring in. If there's a certain song that's you need the backgrounds to be on there when you're singing the verses and you're doing those ad libs, you need them. That requires bringing in vocalists. That requires bringing in band.
Yep.
But if it's just something where I could do it with the track, cool. But most times people like live music, so it just requires, who do I need to bring in? So obviously that's when your negotiations come in with
Exactly.
what somebody is booking you for. So
Yep.
it's just like, I can give you this kind of show, here.
Yep.
You can meet me here. I can give you this. And so all of those factors determine, what type of show I actually do and the song picking. So, if it's a track show, then I can just have my ad libs off of it, because I can do the ad libs and I can do the verses, and I'll have my choruses left on. If I'm doing it with a live band, I'll have singers with me. Most times I'll have dancers too, because I dance while I sing.
Yep.
Yeah. So it just really, it all really depends on the person who is booking me at the time and the type of facility that I'm performing.
Exactly.
But when I'm recording, I don't have any restrictions on myself about any song that I'm going to sing, because I have so many that I can just choose. Like, if I'm going to do a performance, I'll do this one because I know I can do this by myself. Or I can do this with, that's how I go about it.
Yeah, I gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, I know. Like because when I'm in the studio or whatever, and I'm writing, I feel like there's certain, because even like some of the songs that I'm working on right now, they're more thematic. I'll say they're more thematic. The whole thing, which is called Soul Lounge, I'm working on, is really more of a thematic aspect, a real cinematic. That's the approach that we're taking. They're all kind of leading into one another.
Yeah.
So, vision is everything. So let's talk about technology in the music industry, because I think we're all kind of going through it. And I mean, matter of fact, we're seeing some of it flesh out right now in these old school hip hop battles that they're trying to be old school hip hop battles. And, but how do you feel about the whole AI movement and getting to the point where singers might not even be in existence because they'll just use, an AI configuration to do the song? How are you feeling about that?
Okay, obviously, I'm a person, I like to evolve. I like to grow, right? However, I feel that there's not any amount of technology that can ever replace the authenticity of live music, live singers. There's just not. Like, I think that anything artificial, you'll get tired of it very quickly, right?
Yep.
So I think it's cool that, people in the world are experimenting, but I don't think it's enough or strong enough to take over the experience of having live music with live musicians, live singers there. I don't think it's enough to take over. That's my take on it.
I gotcha. So, it's interesting because the more that these computers and the electronics take over, there's also a financial impact, obviously, because of algorithms and getting the album play and the record play throughout the world. I think what you've done is you found where that market is for you. And for most people, they don't really understand that if you're really doing straight soul, nowadays, your best market is going to be Europe. And it's always kind of been like that, which is why, like, if you look at a number of the iconic artists, they've always left America for a while and gone over to Europe and performed. You look back in like the 90s, the whole New Jack Swing movement with Teddy Riley, he's kind of reinvented himself, and he's basically taken his music over to Korea and helped to invent the K-pop scene, right? A lot of people don't realize that's his music. that's over there, he's producing that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about, like, most people say, like, when you look at labels and different artists that I've spoken with, like big artists, they'll tell you it takes about 200K to actually get your spins to a number one single, right? Especially on the hip hop scene, because it's so convoluted and flushed out. How do you feel about the financial side of the investment as opposed to the natural progression of music being heard, seen, felt?
I feel okay. So, obviously, if you have, monetary backing behind you, meaning a big label, the machine, you're gonna get noticed a lot faster, whether
True.
you're good or not, right? So I think that's a great advantage. However, if you're not well versed in the music industry and contracts, you can get messed over. You can end up owing a lot of money and basically working to pay off your debt versus enjoying the fruit of your labor. That's how I feel about that portion of it. But it's awesome if you have the right kind of deal, which I've been offered deals before, but they just haven't been the right ones, so I've rejected them. It's been easier for me to be a solo artist. I hope the right deal comes along one day, but we'll see. But for me as a solo artist, there are a lot of advantages. Obviously, when I get booked, all of the money stays in-house. Disadvantages can be that, some of the money that you get coming in will also, some of it will have to go out because you got to pay your musicians, you got to pay your vocalists, you got to pay your dancers and things like that, which is a worthy investment. It's just, you get to keep a little and you give some out. Whereas if I had a machine,
Yep.
I'd have tons more money to, pump a little faster. And quite frankly, I not tooting my own horn or being cocky, but I feel like I have everything that it takes to be known, even more than what I'm known now. And I
Yep.
feel like if I had a machine backing me, then that process would be a little bit quicker. But because I am, I'm an independent artist, my rise is not as fast as someone who has a machine backing them, because I am an independent artist. So there are pros and there are cons to each side.
Yeah, and understood. But you are still you're rising quickly, and
By the grace of God.
Yes.
By the grace of God.
yeah. No, people are taking notice, and it's obvious. I mean, you have a strong fan base, and
Thank you.
That's pretty serious. So we've been pretty serious all along. So we're going to get a little more lighthearted right now, just to take this out. All right, let's talk about some industry insights and some beef.
Yes.
All right. So, the past several weeks, all of these guys been out there thinking that they're Tupac and Biggie, and hopefully it doesn't get to Tupac and Biggie levels, because we don't want that. I personally feel like a lot of them just said, hey, guys, we all got albums coming out. This is the plan we're going to have. You're going to come out with something against me and make it like everybody's against Drake. Hey, for those that like Drake, some people do, some people don't. But what do you think about what the industry does to a Beyonce and Taylor Swift? They try to drum up issues between these two, and they really don't have any issues. I think they can both coexist. Although Taylor Swift it's okay for Taylor Swift to drift into the pop and like more soulful music. But as soon as Beyonce goes over to country, which we invented, what do you feel about this?
Honestly, the funny thing about it is this might seem strange, because I know in a world of social media, a world of all kinds of news, especially music news, you think somebody would pay a lot of attention to it. But the reality is I actually don't. I actually don't pay attention to any of that, because none of that helps in my progression of what I'm trying to do. And they have a lot of people paying attention to them already anyway. But I enjoy both of their music. But what I will say in regard to the double standard of, with Taylor Swift and people being okay with her coming from the countryside to pop, is that it's unfortunate. We have double standards all the time. And I think that because in our community, especially like the Black community, a lot of people know who Beyonce is. There are a bunch of other ethnicities that know who Beyonce is as well.
Yep.
And so I think there's some people that are just used to her dominating certain lanes. And because she has such a powerful influence, they are fearful that she's going to come and do the same thing with country, which it may happen. But the reality of it is you can't stop anybody from doing something that they want to do. You know what I'm saying? And for Taylor Swift is, she's phenomenal in her own right. And I think that she is more safe. So that's why they're okay with her more so. At least I feel that's why they're okay with her going, from country to pop, because it's not like she's going to take over the world. Whereas the popular opinion of most people in regard to Beyonce is that this girl, she does everything and she just soars. So that's how I feel about that.
Gotcha. You know what's interesting though? I'll tell you, what I have seen is a lot of young country talent, especially in the last 2 months. People that you really wouldn't even heard of, they just been popping up. And some of these people have already been out there, and because of Beyonce doing what she did, it's helped them,
It's great.
Yeah,
it's such a beautiful thing. That's impact living positively.
Exactly. There's this young woman, Tanner Adele, that I had never heard of her until this, and I was like, wow, this girl's a good songwriter. Like, they don't promote her, I don't know. It's sad. I mean, something that we created and we can't even go back into it. They don't even want to give us a word. Look at Raphael Sadiq. Right. This guy got a new contract.
I love him.
He's the guy. This guy's a songwriter, and he wrote like some of those songs on that album, or quite a bit of that album, so.
Yes.
But anyway, all right. So let's just wrap up a little bit. Let's talk about some of the things that you have planned. What are some of the things you're working on?
Some of the things that I'm working on right now are, I'm working on my next album, which will be out soon. I'm also working on visuals. My goal is to put out a lot more visuals, because I know people love music, right? And if you love good music, most times you want to see a good video. So I'm definitely working on that. I have a lot of performances lined up this summer. But definitely heading back over to Europe to do more work over there. And just really working on merch and networking and doing more collaborations with different artists. You know what I mean? I feel like I have made a pretty decent staple for myself, and I've got more stapling to do. But I want to have opportunities to work with other talented artists such as yourself. So.
Oh, cool. Hey,
that's what I'm going to be doing.
For those that don't know,
coming up.
Me and Krishana are working on a song.
That's right.
I had to, first. And for all of you all, I had to beg her.
No, he didn't, y'all. I love him. No, he didn't.
I did not. She was very gracious, and I really appreciate it. She has such a beautiful voice, and we really hope you guys like it once it does come out. So let me leave you with the final thoughts and the inspirational message, because you always have great things to say and inspire. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. I just want to say first, thank you for having me on your show. I'm so grateful to be here. And for anybody out there watching, if you have a dream, if you have a vision, and you have a passion to impact, live in people's lives positively, I encourage you to follow your dream, write it down, make it plain, and do everything that you need to do that causes you to propel and prosper in a positive way to accomplish your goal. Get around like-minded people. Get around people who know more than you. Get around people who have more experience than you, and learn from them, and live the vision that you see.
Hey, and with that, you guys heard from my buddy, Krishana. We're going to call her Chrissy. Mama call her Chrissy. We're going to call her Chrissy.
Yeah. You family. You know you can call me Chrissy.
That's what's up. We thank you so much for coming to the Media and Society, Krishana. And we always wish you the best. I know that your career is getting ready to take off even further. It was just a year ago I met you, and I've seen how much you've done in a year. Think about it. You came out of a COVID year and really just started skyrocketing. So the sky's the limit for you. as always. And thank you so much again for listening and viewing another episode of The Media and Society. I'm your host, Anthony Mitchell. And as always, don't hesitate to hit subscribe, like, share on Revolver, as well as our YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Love and peace, and we're out.